If you're looking at Pleasanton right now, the first thing you probably did was search Pleasanton real estate and stare at the median price. And after 23 years of selling homes in this part of the East Bay, I can tell you that number is the most misleading piece of information in this entire market, because there's no such thing as the Pleasanton price. Same city, same school district, same downtown, and the range runs from the low 700,000s all the way past 4 million. So today I'm walking you through every price range in this town, where your budget actually lands, what it actually buys, and which neighborhoods you'll find at each level. Let's start at the bottom because most people don't even know this exists. Here's what almost nobody believes when I tell them. You can buy in Pleasanton for under $1 million. Not on the edge of town, not some technicality where you're barely still in Pleasanton itself. The condo and townhome market here has a median right around 715,000. Now let's be clear about what that is and what it's not. That's not a house with a yard. That's typically a 2 or 3 bedroom attached home, sometimes with a garage, sometimes with shared pool and other amenities in a community with an HOA. You're basically trading square footage and a backyard for the Pleasanton address. But here's why that trade-off is worth understanding. You are buying into the same city, the same downtown, the same commute access, and in most cases, the same school district as the person who paid for their $2.5 million home for their detached home. For a first-time buyer, for a couple who isn't ready for a house yet, or for somebody downsizing who wants to stay in this town, this price range is the single most overlooked opportunity in Pleasanton. I get calls from people who have written off Pleasanton entirely because they looked at one number online and assumed they needed at least $1.5 million to get in here. You don't. The price is a lot lower than what the internet told you. By the way, if that's you, give us a call, a text, or an email and tell us the 2 or 3 things you don't like and 2 or 3 things that you like, and we can help you narrow down your search. Call, text, or email. Okay, let's step up to the next price range, and this is the one I think surprises people the most. You can actually get into a single family detached home in Pleasanton in the low millions. That's right, your own walls, your own yard, no shared anything. Now, okay, granted, let me tell you what that looks like, because some of them are going to feel more like a townhome than a detached house. At the bottom of this range, right around $1 million, a lot of what you're going to find are 2 bedrooms, smaller square footage, a tight lot, and most likely there's still an HOA. But again, it's detached, it's yours, and nobody shares a wall with you. But your neighbor is close, and the yard is probably not what you're picturing. There are 3-bedroom versions of this too. They're just aren't a lot of them, and when they are available, they go fast. Now, if you can stretch towards the 1.4 million, and this is what the money actually buys you. About 1,600 square feet, 3 bedrooms, and a lot right around 6,400 square feet. And they're built somewhere in the 1970s. That's your Pleasanton starter house. It's older, it's probably got the original kitchen, but it's a real house on a real lot in this school district. And notice I'm not giving you a neighborhood name here because at this price range, there isn't one. These houses are scattered all over town. A few pockets here and there, a couple somewhere. That's actually the hard part about shopping in this range. You're not watching one neighborhood. You're watching the whole city. One more thing that explains a lot of what you'll see online. Pleasanton has 2 zip codes and they do not cost the same. 94588 is in the, north end up against the 580 and the Dublin border. That's Hacienda, Stone Ridge, and the business parks, and most of the newer constructions. 94566 is everything south of that, running down the 680 through downtown and outward towards Foothill and Sunol Boulevard, and also the Hills, and it takes you to Vineyard and Ruby Hill on the east side. So if you're coming off of 580, you're in the 94588 zip code. Keep driving south past downtown and you're in the 94566. The north end runs around 1.5 million and the south runs closer to 1.9. Same town, same school district, $400,000 apart. That explains most of the listings that look like a screaming deal or look completely out of line. And I'll give you the honest trade-off because this is where a lot of buyers get lost. At this budget, you are shopping the smallest and oldest inventory in a town where everything around you costs more. Some people love it. They might be buying the worst house on the best street on purpose, and in this district, that is genuinely a smart move. Other people spend 4 months losing out on fixers and and get worn down. Figuring out which one you are before you start saves you a lot of pain. And that's why we're here for. We can help you with that. Okay, moving on. This is the heart of Pleasanton and it's the biggest price range in town. Citywide, the median sales price right now sits right around 1.5 million. And I want to point something out that most people miss. That number is actually down compared to a year ago, roughly around 10%. And homes are taking about 3 weeks to sell instead of under 2. So right here in the middle of the market, you have more room to negotiate than you've had in a while. Now, okay, I want to make this clear. It's not a buyer's market, but it's not the crazy market we had before either. 3 neighborhoods that I want to highlight on this level: Pleasanton Valley right around 1.6, Pleasanton Meadows right around 1.65, and Pleasanton Heights right around 1.7 million. And yes, those all sit above the citywide median because that median has condos and townhomes pulling it down. What that money buys you is the classic Pleasanton home. 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a real yard, and an actual 2-car garage, established trees on a quiet street. This is for the family that's staying for 20 years. This is the house people picture when they say they want to move to Pleasanton. And I want to flag something about these neighborhood numbers because I'd rather you hear it from me than get surprised. In a neighborhood this size, only a handful of homes sell in any given month. So when one big sale closes, it drags the whole median with it. Treat these ranges not as a precise price. The range is real, the decimal point is just noise. Speaking of ranges, I had a family come to me set on the Muirwood neighborhood. They'd driven it, they liked the streets, they were done looking anywhere else. And guess what? There was nothing available, not one thing. That happens here more than people expect, and it changes how you have to shop. Because when you lock onto one neighborhood in Pleasanton, you are waiting on a handful of homes a year. So when one finally does come up, you have to taper your expectations a little. If what you're holding out for is a fully updated, fully move-in ready, walk in and hang your clothes up in a specific neighborhood at your specific price range, you could be waiting for a very long time. The buyers who actually get into these neighborhoods are usually the ones willing to take the good house with a dated kitchen and fix it over the next couple of years. So if you're somewhere in these numbers right now and you're not sure which range yours is, or you're locked onto one neighborhood and nothing is coming up, call me, text me, or send me an email. I'll tell you straight which neighborhoods to focus on and where you might need to bend. Okay, now we start getting to the nosebleeds with these numbers and the character of the town changes. This is the $2 million to $3 million range, and it's really 2 conversations inside one bracket. The bottom half of $2 million to $2.5 million is where the medians actually set for the 3 neighborhoods everybody asked me about. Birdland right around $2 million, Vintage Hills about $2.1 million, Pleasanton Hills roughly around $2.3. At that money, you're buying into the neighborhood, the lot, and the street. The house itself is probably going to need some updating. Maybe it's the kitchen, maybe it's the bathrooms, maybe nothing has been touched since the last owner moved in. The top half, $2.5 to $3 million, is where you stop doing the work yourself. That's the home somebody already remodeled, or the one on the bigger lot, on top of the hill with the views. Same neighborhoods, sometimes the same street, several $100,000 apart. And that ties directly back to what I told you a minute ago. In Pleasanton, move-in ready is its own price bracket. You can buy in these neighborhoods at $2 million and spend the next 2 years remodeling, or you can buy in these neighborhoods at just under $3 million and never pick a hammer. Those are 2 completely different purchases in the same zip code, and deciding which one you're making is the most useful thing you can do before you start looking. Here's the thing about this range that I don't think gets said enough. This is where Pleasanton beats the Peninsula and the South Bay outright. $2.5 million in Palo Alto or in Burlingame doesn't buy you your dream home. The garage, maybe. Reality is it buys you a smaller, older house on a smaller lot and a remodel in your future. $2.5 in Pleasanton Pleasanton buys you real space, a real yard, a home you don't have to touch, and the top-rated schools. Same money, completely different life. That is the single biggest reason people I work with end up out here instead of down there. Now, the trade-off is the commute. You're accepting a longer drive or a longer train ride for that space, and the math works either way, you know, whether you like the long commute or you want to be closer to your work. Okay, at the top of the Pleasanton market, you've got 4 names. Kottinger Ranch, Golden Eagle, The Preserve, Ruby Hill. These neighborhoods all start around 3 million and go up from there. Ruby Hill is the top of the town with a median right around 4.3 million, and it's been the strongest performing pocket in Pleasanton over the last year, while the middle of the market has kind of softened. And I don't want to leave you thinking those 4 names are the whole story, because they're not. There's serious money in and around Pleasanton that is not in a named subdivision at all. The homes along the foothill, Castlewood, Happy Valley and Alisal Street, Sycamore, Calipe off of Happy Valley, those are streets, not tract neighborhoods, and the houses on them are one-off custom properties on real acreage. You will not find them by pulling up a neighborhood median, because a street with 3 sales a year doesn't produce one. Now, if you ask me which of these I'd pick for myself, I'd lean towards the houses off of Happy Valley and Alisal Street. Plenty of room, big lot. You're off the beaten path out there, and you can still walk to downtown. The only thing that you have to contend with is the slight uphill on the way back home. And that is, of course, if you can buy one over there. And that's the thing worth understanding about this whole level. It behaves like a separate market entirely. Very few sales, buyers who are not rate sensitive, and prices that move on their own schedule. When you read the headline that says Pleasanton prices are up, it's often this group doing the lifting while the middle of the market is kind of flat or a little bit down. So that's Pleasanton from top to bottom. 1 town, 1 school district, 5 completely different conversations. And almost nobody figures out which conversation they're actually in until they're already burned, 3 months looking at the wrong houses. They fall in love with a neighborhood that was never in their range, or they write the whole town off, before they ever find out they could have bought here. Figure out your range first. Everything after that gets a whole lot easier. Now, knowing what your money buys is one thing. Knowing which of these ranges is actually yours is a different conversation. And that one is a lot easier to answer in a conversation, not on this video. So if that's you, if you're looking at Pleasanton right now and you want a straight answer about where your number actually lands, call me, text me, or send me an email. Tell me what you're working with and what matters most to you, and I'll tell you which neighborhoods are worth your Saturday and which ones to skip. I'm Mac Rogers. Thanks for watching.